I will take a roll call. Mrs. Ezekiel?
Here.
Mrs. Valpel?
Here.
Mr. Stotts?
Here.
Mrs. Rotondo?
Here.
Mr. McMillan's absent. Mr. Tavy?
Here.
Mrs. Marmion?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
Mrs. Butchko?
Here.
Thank you. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is in the back. All right, in Section 2, I'll read the official results of the election. For the unexpired term, Jennifer Rotondo, 673 votes. 3-year term, Mr. McMillan, 683. 3-year term, Mr. Tavy, 682 votes. And 3-year term, Mrs. Valpel with 676 votes. I would like now to ask our lovely board members to come forward, and I will swear you in. Thank you. Down in Section 3, so board members, you have in front of you the Code of Ethics, as well as a receipt of the Code of Ethics. And I will now ask the superintendent to read the Code of Ethics into the record. Thank you.
Okay. In accordance with New Jersey 18A 12-24.1, every board member will abide by the following Code of Ethics. The board member will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. Make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. Confine his or her board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. Carry out his or her responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with fellow board members, ensure they are well run. Recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and make no personal promises, nor take any private action that may compromise the board. Refuse to surrender his or her independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or the gain of friends. Hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, he/she will provide accurate information, and in concert with fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school. Vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer. Vote, support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. Refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution.
Thank you, Dr. McDowell. And with that, I am going to request nominations from board members for the office of President of the Oakland Board of Education.
Nominate Denise Butchko.
Would you like to accept the nomination, Mrs. Butchko?
Sure, thank you.
I will take a roll call. Oh, and thank you. If you could, everybody could sign your seats, please. All right, Mrs. Ezekiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Falpel,
Yes.
Mr. Stotts,
Yes.
Mrs. Rotondo,
Yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko.
Yes.
Congratulations, Madam President. Here you go.
All right. Moving on to, thank you everyone. And Happy New Year. Moving on to Section 5, are there nominations for the position of Vice President?
Nominate Todd Schaefer, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Anyone else on a roll call? I'm sorry. I want to make sure. Todd, do you accept the
I do.
nomination of Vice President?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're getting it anyway, but I figured, you know.
Thank you, Todd.
Mrs. Ezekiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Falpel,
Yes.
Mr. Stotts,
Yes.
Mrs. Rotondo,
Yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
and Mrs. Butchko.
Yes. Thanks, Todd. Moving on to Section 6. This is our first public comment section. Please stand, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. This is for items on the agenda only. Are there any comments at this time? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Section 7. These are the official meeting dates for 2024. So the next meeting will be Tuesday, January 16th, and the rest of them are down here. I'm assuming the committees will be emailed out this week, yes?
Yes, as soon as I get them from Anita. And I just want everybody to note, June 25th, you're a little later than normal, because we tried to, if we did it the week before, it would have hit right around when we usually have graduation. So instead of having it fall around the 18th, we just pushed it to the 25th. So just so you know, it's on a different day.
Thank you. And April, it looks like that's also the 4th week. Is that right?
Yes, I did that so we would be in line for the public hearing, because we have that week or two where we have to meet.
Perfect. Okay. So moving on to Section 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is to approve the meeting dates. Is there a motion to approve the dates?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on a roll call.
Mrs. Ezekiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Falpel,
Yes.
Mr. Stotts, Mrs. Rotondo,
Yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko.
Yes. Okay, Section 8. This is for the committee appointments. Beth Ann, can you remind me how we do this? Okay, thank you.
So last year, under the representative to New Jersey School Boards Association, Todd was your legal representative, and Denise, you were the alternate. You guys still want to do it? Okay.
I'm fine with that. Unless, is there anyone else that would like to? Go. Okay.
All right. And for Camden County School Boards, we had Denise, you were in first position with Jimmy McMillan as your alternate.
I know. Would anyone like to take this one. So this is when they do the meetings, there's usually like a catered dinner. It's usually like 4 times a year. I have a hard time getting to the meetings, I'll be honest. So if there's someone that would like to go, there's usually a speaker, there's good food. Anyone?
Where's it held?
It's usually at either Adelphia or what's the other one? Aletos? Aletos. Yeah, they're both like down in the Deptford area.
It's Camden County School Board. They can't have it in Camden County?
County and Burlington together, I believe. Right? Yeah, there's 2
Burlington.
together.
Not Gloucester.
No, Gloucester. I'm sorry,
I say
Gloucester.
Burlington. I'd be even more mad.
Gloucester. Yes. Okay, I'll do it again.
You sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
Denise, I can do it. That's okay. If
Teresa,
you want.
right.
Yeah.
Teresa's into it?
Okay. And Jimmy will still be the alternate because he's not here to defend himself.
You have to be an absent.
I'm sorry, moving back to the beginning of Section 8, so for the committee appointments for this board, do we have the papers to fill
Wait, I don't
out?
have the papers. I was, with your permission, or you and I could do it jointly. I just sent it. We can send a Google sheet out to everybody
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
It'd just be
everyone's
easier.
preferences. Yeah.
Yeah, or, or email Denise directly, but I figured tomorrow we'll get that information and
Just let me know if you have committee preferences, like if there's a committee that you would like to not be on. Okay. No, so it should still be 3.
probably got missed.
Yeah. So it should still be the same 3 from this year.
Mhm.
I think that's what we used to have was 2, and we changed it a couple of years ago to 3.
Yeah.
So it's curriculum, personnel, and then policy and community relations,
Yep.
and then the finance, facilities and shared services. Thank you for catching that. Yes, there should be 3 there listed there.
It's the one boo-boo I didn't catch today. Thank you. All right.
No, I thought maybe they were consolidated, like we took community relations and put them together too somehow.
No, we're short help in the board office this week, so we were like, no, thank you.
Yeah, we used to always have 2, but we can only have 4 on each committee, and there's 9 of us, so then someone would have to sit off, not be on a committee. So we added the 3rd committee so that everyone
333.
could be on a committee. Yeah.
So you just want everybody to email you versus a Google?
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
just
that's-
everybody, and then let me
Just-
know,
just
and then
let me know
I'll
what
send
your
out the
preferences are.
email
Yeah.
with all the dates for the committee meetings to the members.
Also, if you're willing to chair, that would be helpful information to know too. Okay, Section 9. This is the Educational Services Commission. Can you?
So last year it was Jimmy with Teresa as the alternate. He's not here, so. Okay. He gets it.
Okay. And 9.02, other committees, appointments. So for this section, I was wondering if we could change things up a little bit this year. I apologize that I didn't talk to anyone in advance because I didn't want to assume that I would be reelected. But I was wondering if we could switch up some of the liaison appointments. And so for the calls liaison, I know, Bill, you've done it for a number of years. I was wondering if Rich might be willing to do that this year, just for a change of scenery, maybe? If you're okay with that? You're okay with that? Okay. And then for, I'm gonna change this order a sec. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go down to the Oaklyn PTA. So I know Teresa's done this for a couple years. I did it before that. Jen, do you have any interest in being the liaison for the PTA?
Only because I get along with the president so well. I'll do
Okay,
it.
perfect. So what this involves is, if you can go to the meeting, share what the board is up to, and then report back to the board what the PTA is up to.
When do they meet? Because
They're-
I have routine evening meetings for work, and I just need to know when they meet.
Sure. It's usually the first Tuesday of the month. Perfect. Thanks, Jen. Okay, so now moving back up to OEF. This was Jimmy, and I'm wondering if Therese, if you would take this one over. I'll write my notes down. And then OMASAC. Colleen, do you have any interest in? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Anyone interested in being the OMASAC rep for this year? And Therese was this year. Actually, I can do this one. You took the other one. I can touch base with Adam about this. Okay. Moving on to section 10, the adoption of policies and bylaws. So we're going to move on the recommendation of the superintendent that the policies and bylaws of the district presently in existence be adopted and continue to review the policies as proposed. And then 10.02 is the adoption of job descriptions. And that is to move on the recommendation of the superintendent to approve all job descriptions presently in existence be adopted. And is there a motion to approve those two items?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded on a roll call.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Yes.
Mrs. Valpel?
Yes.
Mr. Stotts?
Yes.
Mrs. Rotondo?
Yes.
Mr. Tavy?
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Bushko?
Yes. Okay, section 11, this is the second public comment section. So again, please stand, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. This could be for anything that you want to bring to the board's attention. Are there any public comments at this time? Thank you. Hearing none. Before we adjourn, there has been a request to move into an executive session. So I'm going to have Beth Ann just tell me, how do we do that? Do we need a motion to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to add an item to the agenda to go into closed session. The reason for this closed session is to discuss a personnel item that occurred right before Christmas break, just to bring the board members up to speed. So that, yeah, I just need a,
A motion and a second and a roll call?
yes, thank you, I'm sorry.
Okay. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So second.
Moved and seconded. On a roll call.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Yes.
Mrs. Valpel?
Yes.
Mr. Stotts?
Yes.
Mrs. Rotondo?
Yes.
Mr. Tavy?
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bushko?
Yes. Okay, so
We are now in closed session.
we're in a closed session, and so do they go in the hallway? What happens?
If you'd like to stay, I don't think it's going to be more than 15, 20 minutes. But after that, we're just adjourning. So there's no action. I'm just going to discuss. Thanks.
Thank you.